Ziggs on top of it. Yes, it's a lot of magic damage. Oh, he's going to lock in Gwen. He locks in Gwen, okay. He says, no, I want kill threats on the back line. I'm looking for flanks. I'm looking to make their poke redundant as I run straight towards them and look to snip.
Agent of chaos from creating chaos. That's just what they do.
That's true.
You know, that's why they're there.
It feels like a beautiful culmination of what has been.
Keen's running with scissors, and Zeus needs to get the heck out of the way. Snip, snip. One more would have done it. But he holds position. Flash is not traded, as Keen knew that he couldn't confirm the kill. Didn't want to make himself too vulnerable. But Zeus, he's not going to be able to get back to this wave, like, ever. He does decide to do so, as now Keen could be the one in trouble. But Keen had the scissors out and chopped. And that seems to be happening once again. Only a slight lead as far as CS is concerned. We will be teleporting back as we've got a bit of a scuffle here towards this bottom side. Heroic charge, not quite doing too much as Keen trying to get the damage down onto Delight. There's the hook, but it doesn't quite hit the mark that they were looking for. Zeus still dashing around, trying to find the angle. Peanut making his way in. He'll get the audacious charge. Wind becomes lightning, and he takes down Duro. Keen gets one back, but it's a double for the man on his last.
They'll do a little bit, but they're not contesting this really, and just going to give up the early objective.
Yep. Having a look at it here from the side angle. It's just Canyon finishing this one off.
It's pretty interesting that even though Keen has 2 kills.
150, but it's not quite enough. As the B-Zig's going to make his way back towards this mid lane. But that is a decent amount of cooldowns now eaten up here. As Viper does need to now wait the longer time for that one to come back off.
Will Nat unalive the 2 grubs. That really is the matchup completely. Really looking at a bit more of a substantial gold leader. Some item finishes, which haven't quite come through. As Duro's here. Yeah,
a little bit of a face check here from Zeus as he throws out the public execution. Duro, he's going to turn up though, and down goes the Ambassador. That is feats of warfare here to the Keeper's verdict, but not susceptible to having this Drake taken away, as it is just going to be removed. Poppycopter not going to do too much as Duro through, so Canyon wanting to put that one together. We don't have feats of strength down just yet, but this will mean it for Gen G. As Peanut goes in, not wanting to give this one away. As you can see, the Hextech Minefield doing so much work. The flash out of the way, the Mega Inferno Bomb was necessary. As Zeus, it's a teleport overextension as he flashes away back into the pit, but it looks like Peanut might be able to take it. There it is. As they look for the eye as well, Peanut will be able to collect that one. Keeper's verdict gets rid of the Jarvan, and now Keen has to be the savior for Gen G, and he may be just that as he takes
the Jarvan whatsoever. As Duro
in trouble yet again here as Delight looking for a bit of an angle. Doesn't quite get there, but when the wind becomes lightning, does get the slow. Peanut, another audacious charge as Canyon comes on through. Mega Inferno Bomb! And that is so much damage to the Normal that it can. They're not going to give this one up without a fight. Mega Inferno Bomb is going to be there. Let's see how much damage it's going to get down on both of the carries into that backline. Is now Duro once again going to be eliminated, but Keen finds the backline. Delight going to be the first one to go down as Ruler is able to do it. Peanut gets in, but it's Canyon with the smite. This time around, Soul Point, some cool shoes, and let's see whether they can win this fight at the same time. Great knock-up onto Zeus as he's trying to dash his way out, but Zeka finds the angle onto Ruler. The Emperor's Divide will find it again as Zeus is able to take down Canyon. HLE.
If Gen G try to approach, it's so difficult. So this should be an uncontested objective. But as I say that, Canyon's making his way down.
Yep, they're looking to fight for the Otacon. They're not going to be able to stop this tower from falling down. Yep, 2 teleports bring Duro and Keen into the fight. The Otacon down to 50%. HLE do need to be careful. Steadfast presence is decent, but it's only onto Duro, and Delight is already taken down. Viper getting closed in on onto Chovy as Zeus looking for Keen in that backline, but I don't know whether he wants that fight as Peanut so close to dead. The Crescent Guard doesn't work, and he's thrown into the sky by the Demacian Prince. Now the Otacon should go over to Gen G, unless Zeus can do anything about it. It is going to be there, and Zeus also going to get picked off, although he's looking for Chovy before he goes down. Chovy barely survives, and it's Ruler that picks up the kill. Emperor's Divide used defensively here as HLE limp away.
This fight was just so one-sided from Gen G. They converted pick after pick after pick, as it felt like HLE, the uncoordination that we saw from game 1 sprouts up once more.
And it's the mark from Keen onto Zeus. Last time he was trying to 1v2, that doesn't work out. But Keen keeps Zeus out of the fight, and even though this Mbessa isn't necessarily in the best of spots, if he finds an ult onto Ruler or Chovy, they will fight.
Let's see what they can actually get done here. Like you were saying, Cloud Soul going to make this poke comp difficult to play as Chovy going to get cornered here, but gets out of the way of the bomb. They did manage to take him down in the end though, as Viper is untouched. Keen gets in there, he's in the Zeus looking for Zeus, but the needlework doesn't quite connect, and now it's him.
Jovi, and that is Soul Point denying Humble Life, showing that Gen G had to work for it in game one. They're gonna have to work for it in this one.
The beauty of these secure that top tower. That is now all Adder towers finally going down. 26 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
Just goes to show how much slower this one has been.
From Ruler has flipped the game on blue buff.
Yeah, let's do that. I think that sounds like a fun idea. We've got teleports committed. As now
joking!
Delay going down incredibly low. Keen is just going to chop him to pieces. The Poppy's not there, but the Emperor's Divide is going to try to punish. He wants to take Viper with him. It doesn't quite work. And now they look to go in. It's a beautiful Cataclysm to break up the Fighters Canyon. Also able to walk his way out. Peanut, he couldn't do so, as now Ruler is trying to do what he can.
Oh!
And the flag takes down the Xin Zhao. Gen G, with 4 left standing, managed to win the fight.
Keen takes things into his own hands as he runs down the HLE support, turning this into a chaotic skirmish, which Gen G walk away the victors. Now there's no jungler on the side of HLE. This Baron will be uncontested, and Gen G, just like that, take firm control over game 2.
And it sets up into that Soul in a minute and 15. Dragon is gonna spawn, and Gen G...
Peanut.
Yeah. Helper, not as much, as far as frustration is concerned, as now Gen G with this siege set up. Cloud Dragon, Delight off to the side, wanting to try and make this helicopter work for him. If this Keeper's Verdict lands, it could be such a big deal. Chains of Corruption, he's going to start this fight as Peanut. Crescent Guard there to keep himself safe. And now the flash in, he gets rid of it, he managed to cancel it! Public Execution is still going to be able to find Zeus away into the backline, but the Cataclysm is there from Canyon to buy the space, and Zeka goes down! Zeus is going to follow suit, and he tried as he might, but Gen G are going to win out, and even though they lose, the Drake might be able to take even more.
Peanut steals away the dragon, but the cost was so much. Gen G, they're hunting, they're fighting, they're trying to deny HLE from getting back to base, because if they stop Viper, then the wave clear disappears. With the Baron, they're setting their sights on their first inhibitor of the game.
BGPs, 40 seconds, initial highlight, Vedi. If any other member was alive, I think they're just cooked, but it's Viper that's still there.
Oh, Peanut gets a whole lot of his health back, but unfortunately, Chovies goes over to the side and now is going to show himself. Peanut is alongside him, but that means he's nowhere near the pit. This is the long con from Canyon. Can he find the angle? Duro goes in, but the steadfast presence stops it. It denies it, and there's the Emperor's Divide doing absolutely nothing. Ruler this time gets the last laugh as they dive on forward. It's the resurrection here for a Canyon as HLE now trying to do what they can. Viper is still alive with so much damage. Ruler is there as well, but the artillery not quite landing at 3 versus 3 after all is said and done. And is that it? Okay, it's a stalemate.
Zeka looks to have his faker moment, but Ruler's been here before. He does not allow Zeka to find the angle. The Azir drops so quickly, but HLE still find a good fight. It's a 3 versus 3. Peanut and Canyon are both alive.
Yeah, we're going to flip back.
He's running as fast as he can.
He's going to try and get there as soon as he can, but I don't know whether it's quite going to work.
Here we go.
Canyon needs to hit this fight. He does it. It's taken by Viper. Mega Inferno Bomb gets rid of Duro, but now Canyon, can he find the damage in this one? And he should be able to, but no, the satchel gets him over, and the Q is this one. This second Baron is going to be so difficult for them to deal with. The Poppy Copter, it gets rid of the job, and there's no smites in here now as the Public Execution connects on a Trophy. So much damage from Zeus as they've taken down already from down. It's Viper as he from Zeus, who was such a monster finding the angle onto the backline, and that will net them.
I want to draw your attention to some of these flanking wards, possibilities that Gen G could be looking for.
This is so scary. These bouncing bombs, as you can see, doesn't matter who you are, it's going to do a whole lot of damage. The minefield down, the satchel down. Now the minefield's going to fall, but Duro doesn't find the hook as they get rid of the Joven again. Chovi's almost just dead before it even starts as they'll take Duro as a consolation kill. And the Public Execution brings Zeus into the backline. 1 versus 3, but he's got friends on the way. And the Emperor's Divide, it shuts down Keen. Canyon is now looking to run his way to the other side of the map as Peanut will find him. It's jungle versus jungle, and Peanut says, not this time, Canyon. HLE are going to look to even out the series as Gen G should be losing most of their base.
And Hanwha Life's tenacity will be rewarded. as they try to pull the waves, but it doesn't matter. Hanwha's in their base.
Yep, these minions should stay alive, and they've got so much damage to these structures. As Ruler just doing his best. The Baron is worn off. Mega in front of him this time. Not going to connect to that. Shockwave is going to connect with way. As Chovy, third Baron. This is now officially the longest game at Worlds, and it's not looking that close to ending just yet. Satchel is decent there, as let's see what the Poppy can get done. It hits two. It's Ruler and Chovy. And Zeus looks to get in there, and now Duro should be the first one to fall, but no one's gone down yet. Zeka is the first one to go, as now Zeus gets chopped up by Keen. The bouncing bombs are still there, though. Viper is at full health, but Gwen is immune. Chovy is not quite so much. And we've got the Hex Flash from Delight. Let's see whether he can buy the angle. He doesn't have the ultimate, but he does have the smite angle. Chovy also now having to deal with the Baron, but they get rid of the Poppy, and down goes the Baron. Absolutely required.
He's going to keep on poking, but we can see the wave clear from Viper remains an issue.
And gentlemen, we have hit longest
has to get back to base as quickly as possible. The hook started.
Yep, there is the hook connecting here as it's onto Peanut. Can he actually keep himself alive? The answer is yes. Mega Inferno Bomb into the backline breaks the shields. And Zeus, he now wants to be able to find that angle. Heroic charge from Delight as he's trying to be a hero. The Shockwave is going to connect, but Zeus gets into the backline as well. Out goes Canyon yet again, but Zeka is dead. And the hook connects from Duro. Stun comes down, but Zeus, I mean, he's Ambessa, so should be able to get himself to
position around the Drake, but in that war of attrition, it was Genji that held strong. HLE, they couldn't threaten the backline like they could earlier. The ulti from Viper just knocking off those spell shields.
Oh, down to 4.
He's waiting.
Can't afford to fight, they have to stall, and they have the chance to do it.
I love this from Hanwha. So what they're doing, despite everything, and you gotta imagine after a game like this is Keen.
Keen could be in a little bit of trouble here as they look to take him down. He's flashed, and there's the ulti out of Zeus. Are they looking to just go for a base race just right here? Keen buys a bit of time, but he is now dead. And they've got a minion wave coming on through. It looks like Genji might be able to get it done, but Viper is still here. The minion wave is not. As Zeus is looking to stop these backs. He's got a GA, and never mind. They want to go for the team fight. Out. We must order one. Let's see. As Mega Inferno Bomb comes down, but it's eaten by a whole bunch of shields. As, oh my God. Okay. That's all right. HLE looking to try and defend this inner turret. It's probably not the hill that I'd die on, and they are not going to.
Well, we did almost end the game. Remember?
As Peanut shows himself, he does have a control ward down, and they see that none of Genji are at this area. They're setting up for a play. Ruler goes forward. Canyon looks to get the knock-up. He does find it. There is the chain as well. As Peanut might be caught out of position. He has a GA. But now he's in such an awkward spot. He tries to get himself out of there, and he survives. He's dodging the needlework. He finds the heal. As Canyon might be traded for this one. Delight goes in, looks for the angle, but they've managed to take 2. And now Genji, they move themselves forward. Viper's still alive. The Empress Divide doing a fair bit of damage. But it's 1 Ziggs and an Ambessa against the wall, and Ruler is flashing on top of Zeus. Genji, I mean, they haven't managed to do that thing we were saying, but they may just take the Nexus down instead.
All it took was a single pick onto Peanut. This late into the game, the death time is so long. Viper alone, I don't think he has enough to hold the line.
Let's see what he can do. He's got that health bar back up yet again.
I can't let him approach.
There are no minions. As Mega Inferno Bomb deals with that wave, but he needs another one for the next. Zeus is doing such a good job as they look to take down the Nexus. Starts the Nexus is now exposed. Zeus, he finds one, and there it is! Genji will reach match point in the knockout stage for our first best of 5.